Welcome back. Today we're going to continue looking at monopoly by examining how monopolists can use a strategy known as price discrimination to increase the level of profits that they have. And not just monopolists, but really any firm or any market structure in which firms have some control over the price will attempt to use this idea of price discrimination to maximize their profit. So we're going to want to be able to define what it means to price discriminate, provide some examples of price discrimination, and describe the impact that price discrimination has on both consumers and firms in terms of issues like deadweight loss and total surplus. So we start by looking at an example, thinking through, if you were to go to a Denny's or any sort of diner, who would be likely to pay more for their meal? Would it be senior citizens or young professionals? And the answer is senior citizens. There's a special menu for senior citizens that offers the same meal as young professionals for less money. The eggs aren't any different for seniors than they are for people in their 20s and 30s, but those eggs are cheaper if you're older. Or who pays more to go to the movies? People from Gen X or current college students? And the answer is current college students pay less to go to the movies. Older people pay more. When you're in a college town, many times you'll find stores that offer discounts to students. Or who pays more for a flight? Someone who bought their ticket in advance or the person who shows up and has to pay for it right now? And the answer is the person who shows up right now and needs that ticket right now will end up paying more than somebody who bought it in advance. Each one of these examples are examples of price discrimination, charging a different price for the same good. And the reason they are able to charge a different price for the same good is because some people are more elastic than others. So it goes back to our conversation about elasticity. Now, so far in our conversation about monopolies, the monopolist has charged a single price. They found where MC equals MR, they've gone up to the demand curve, and that's the price. But they don't always have to charge just one price. They could charge multiple prices depending on people's willingness to pay. Why? Because it's going to lead to more profit. Here's an example. Let's pretend that Denny's or your local diner is trying to decide how to set its prices. And it's going to say their marginal cost of producing their standard 2-egg breakfast is $2. And let's pretend that there's 100 senior citizens in the market that are willing to pay $4 for that meal, and there are 100 college students willing to pay $8 for that meal. So the question is, what price should they charge? If they are a single price monopolist, they'll charge the same price to everybody. So if they charge $4, then their profit would be $400. 100 seniors would buy their meal at $4. 100 students would buy it at $100. So there's $800 worth of revenue. Total costs, each meal costs $2 to produce, so they're producing 200 meals, $400 in costs, leads to a profit of $400. If they charge a price of $8, then all the senior citizens are out. The students are still in. They're willing to pay as much as $8 a piece. So you would have $800 in revenue. You're only selling 100 meals. It only costs you $2 a meal to make, so their costs are $200. So the total profit is $600. So if I'm a single price monopolist, I'm going to charge a price of $8. That's going to give me more profit than to charge $4 and keep the senior citizens in the market. But what if I price discriminated and I charge two different prices? What if I charge the seniors the $4 they're willing to pay and the college students the $8 they're willing to pay? In which case, I could increase my total profit, because if 100 seniors buy their meal at $4 a piece, then the profit for them is $200. They bring in $400 in revenue. They cost $200 in costs. Total profit $200. If I charge $8 to the college students, we already saw their profit $600 added together. My total profit is $800. And $800 is bigger than either the $400 I would have gotten charging $4 to everybody, or the $600 I would have gotten by charging $8 to everybody. So charging different prices ensures that I keep more people in the market, charging them the maximum they're willing to pay, meeting their particular needs, but also increasing my total profit for the firm. It turns out that if I charge 2 different prices, I increase my total profit compared to only charging 1 price. And if I were to create 3 different price areas, I would actually increase my profit more than if I had charged 2 prices. So it turns out that the more price discrimination I can create, the greater my total profits for the firm will be. And I could extend this thinking all the way to the point where I charge each individual customer their maximum willingness to pay. I could create what's known as perfect price discrimination. The profit for perfect price discrimination is the most possible profit for the firm. One of the nice things about it is that not only does it maximize profit, but because I'm charging each person the maximum they're willing to pay, I actually eliminate deadweight loss. There's deadweight loss with 1 price. There is no deadweight loss with perfect price discrimination because every single person who's willing to pay above marginal cost will get that product at the maximum price they're willing to pay. So we will see essentially an outcome, a quantity equal to the same quantity of perfect competition. Now the result of this is we will eliminate all consumer surplus, which is fine because the consumer is willing to pay that price. They would like to pay less, but they're willing to pay their maximum, and so they'll do it. That consumer surplus is taken over entirely by the producer. So the total surplus is maximized, but it will be all producer surplus and no consumer surplus. The question then is, who should we charge the higher price to? Should it be the person with the elastic demand or the person with the inelastic demand? And the answer is that I should charge the higher price to the person who is more inelastic, because inelastic demand isn't as affected by a change in price as the elastic people. If I charge a higher price, the inelastic folks are sort of annoyed by it, I suppose, but they're willing to pay it, no big deal. If you're elastic and charged a higher price, then you tend to drop your quantity demanded pretty substantially and you're out of the market. So when we're price discriminating, we're looking for the groups that are the most price inelastic and charging them the higher price. And those who are more price elastic, we will charge the lower price. That's why if you show up at an airline desk to buy an airline ticket, if you need the ticket 6 months from now, you're pretty price elastic. You're sensitive to what the price will be. And if it's too high today, you'll come back tomorrow. So you tend to get a lower price by purchasing in advance. But when you show up at the gate and you've got to go somewhere right now and you have to get there, then the price is largely irrelevant because I have to get there. And the airlines know that. So they can charge you a higher price for your seat. So the more price elastic you are, the lower your price. And the more price inelastic you are, the higher your price. Now there are some ways to discriminate in order to charge different prices that firms will use. One is the advance purchase, the airlines. You get a discount basically if you purchase earlier rather than later. And volume discounts are a way to price discriminate. Some people don't want to pay a high unit price, but if you can get the unit price lower and it's something they can use in bulk, then they're happy to pay it. So people may not want to pay $4 for a roll of paper towels, but they're willing to pay $16 for a pack of 20 paper towels or whatever the number is in order to lower that unit price down. The other trick or tactic that's used is known as a two-part tariff, and that's something like Costco, these wholesale clubs, where you pay a membership fee for the right to then be able to get the lower priced goods. And that weeds out people from the market. Some people aren't willing to pay that fee, and so they're not members of Costco. Those who are will pay that fee, and that then generates the ability to get lower prices on all the stuff that they buy. So lots of different strategies, but the reality remains the same, that firms will attempt as much as they can to price discriminate in order to maximize their profits, in order to increase their surplus. And that concludes our conversation about monopolies. And next time we'll move into talking more about other forms of imperfect competition, particularly monopolistic competition and oligopoly.